Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today we're diving into one of the most famous and, honestly, one of the most fascinating stories ever told. The time Jesus turned water into wine. Now, whether you've heard this story 100 times in Sunday school or this is your first time encountering it, I promise you there's more to it than meets the eye. This isn't just about a magic trick at a party. It's a story packed with layers of meaning about generosity, new beginnings, and the very nature of who Jesus is. So let's set the scene. We're in a small village called Cana in Galilee. A wedding is in full swing. Imagine the atmosphere, music, dancing, laughter, the community coming together to celebrate the union of two people. In that culture, a wedding wasn't just a one-day event. It could last for a week. It was a huge celebration, and the host's reputation depended on their ability to provide for their guests. Running out of anything, especially wine, would be a major social embarrassment, a sign of poor planning and a shadow over the new couple's future. And that's exactly what happens. Right in the middle of the festivities, the wine runs out. You can almost feel the panic setting in for the host and the family. This is where Jesus' mother, Mary, steps in. She knows her son. She's seen something in him that others haven't yet. She walks up to Jesus and simply says, "They have no more wine." It's not a command, but a statement of fact filled with trust. She knows the problem, and she knows who can solve it. Jesus' response is a bit surprising at first. He says, "Woman, why do you involve me? My hour has not yet come." This can sound a little harsh in English, but it's more of a gentle redirection. Woman was a respectful term, and when he says, "My hour has not yet come," he's talking about the bigger picture, the ultimate purpose of his life, which will culminate on the cross. He's essentially saying, is this really the moment to reveal who I am? But Mary isn't deterred. She turns to the servants and gives them a simple, powerful instruction: do whatever he tells you. This is a master class in faith. She doesn't know what he'll do, but she trusts him completely. Nearby, there are 6 large stone water jars. These weren't for drinking. They were used for ceremonial washing, a Jewish purification ritual. Each one could hold about 20 to 30 gallons. That's a lot of water. We're talking about 120 to 180 gallons in total. Jesus looks at these jars and tells the servants, "Fill the jars with water." The servants don't question him. They just do it. They fill them all the way to the brim. Imagine the effort this took, hauling bucket after bucket of water to fill these massive jars. Once the jars are full, Jesus gives his next instruction: now draw some out and take it to the master of the banquet. Think about the servants for a moment. They just filled these jars with plain old water. Now they're being told to serve this water to the head of the party, the person in charge of tasting everything. They must have been nervous. What would he say? Would they get in trouble for trying to pass off water as wine? But again, they obey. They take a cup to the master of the banquet. The master takes a sip. He has no idea where this drink came from. His eyes probably went wide with surprise. He immediately calls over the bridegroom, the man of the hour, and says, "Everyone brings out the choice wine first, and then the cheaper wine after the guests have had too much to drink. But you have saved the best for now." He's amazed. Not only is there more wine, but it's the best wine he's tasted all night. He thinks the bridegroom has been holding out, saving this premium vintage for the end of the party. But we and the servants know the secret. It wasn't saved, it was created right there on the spot. This story, recorded in the Gospel of John, is so much more than just a miracle that saved the party. John tells us that this was the very first of Jesus' signs, the first public display of his glory. There was a signpost pointing to who he truly was. So what does this sign tell us? First, it shows us a God of abundance and joy. Jesus didn't just make enough wine to get by. He made a massive amount, over 120 gallons. And it wasn't just average table wine. It was the best wine. This wasn't a miracle of bare necessity. It was a miracle of extravagant generosity. It tells us that God isn't stingy. He delights in celebration, in joy, and in blessing us beyond our wildest expectations. He stepped into a moment of potential shame and turned it into an overwhelming display of abundance. Second, the miracle is symbolic of transformation. Jesus didn't just create wine out of thin air. He took something ordinary and common water, used for external cleaning rituals, and transformed it into something extraordinary and celebratory, wine. This points to the varied. Part of his ministry, he came to transform us from the inside out. He takes our ordinary, messy, complicated lives and offers to turn them into something new, something full of life and purpose, something that brings joy to God and to others. The old system of ritual cleansing was being replaced by a new reality of inner transformation through it. And third, it reveals his identity. By performing the sign, Jesus was showing his disciples and anyone with eyes to see that he had power over the natural world. He wasn't just a great teacher or a prophet. He was the Creator himself, able to suspend the laws of nature because he wrote them. This event solidified the disciples' faith in him. They saw his glory and they put their trust in him. It was the beginning of their journey of understanding that the man they were following was, in fact, God in the flesh. When we face our own running out of wine moments, when our resources feel depleted, when we're facing embarrassment, when our joy has run dry, the story is a powerful reminder. We can go to Jesus, just as Mary did. We can tell him the problem and then trust him enough to follow his instructions, even if they don't make sense at the time. He's the one who can take the ordinary, empty parts of our lives and fill them with something extraordinary. He doesn't just patch up our problems. He brings a new and better reality. He saves the best for us. So the next time you think of the story, don't just picture a magic trick. Picture the worried faces of the hosts turning to relief. Picture the confused servants turning to awe. Picture the joy and celebration that was not only saved, but elevated. And most importantly, see Jesus standing quietly in the background, revealing a glimpse of his divine power. And his deep love for people, turning a moment of lack into an unforgettable display of his glory. Thanks so much for hanging out with me today and exploring this incredible story. If this resonated with you, I'd be so grateful if you hit that like button and subscribe to the channel for more content like this. Let me know in the comments what stood out to you the most about the wedding at Cana. Until next time, take care.